Alright, we're back. Series 2. Fishing lines and fishing knots. We're about to get naughty. As I told you in the last episode, we're dealing with one rod, one reel. Your first rod, your first reel. Alright? And I told you that fishing lines, or rods, rather, were rated in breaking strength. I told you about 6 to 12, 8 to 15. I had one that was 60 to 120. That big old dude. And that basically is referring to the breaking strength of a line. Each line is rated in a breaking strength. This happens to be 25-pound fishing line. This is 6-pound fishing line. This is fluorocarbon. So there's fluorocarbon, there's monofilament, and then there's this braid stuff. We won't talk about braid. Braid's rather unforgiving. I love it, but it's no place for a beginner. As you get better, maybe you put on some braid. You'll never like braid in a river though. It gets caught up on everything. Caught up on my fingernail when I'm fishing. So, the breaking strength of a line is basically directly related to the thickness of the line. The thinner the line, the easier it breaks. This is a 6-pound line. So I told you the rods are rated for you to get a 6 to 12. This would be the lower end of the line you would get. As you get up to 8, 10, 12, it's going to be harder to break this. Okay? So this is 6. Breaks kind of easy, but it's pretty tough for a fish, and it's tough for a fish to break 6. Alright? If you have your drag set properly and you got open water, he'll never break that. You just got to fight him longer. 25, here's 25 pound, it's thicker as you can tell, and the breaking strength is a lot tougher, alright, to break this stuff. Alright? It's tougher, thicker. So basically got monofilament, soft, it's got a lot of memory in it. You can see the loops in it, you know. This is called memory, how it stays coiled. It has its place, but I wouldn't recommend it these days because we got fluorocarbon now, and this stuff's nice. It's clear. When it hits the water, it vanishes. In fact, that's what this brand is called, Vanish, by Berkeley. This is what I would recommend you put on your rod, your reel. 8-pound, 6-pound. If you're in California or northern areas, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, out to New York, a lot clearer water, you're going to fish a lot lighter line because the fish can see it. Down south where it's dirt murky and they can't see the line anyway, you can get away with 12 easily. So you're going to fish 12 if you're in murky water. If you're in clear water, you're going to lighten it up. 6 to 8 generally. Okay? And you're going to want to fish fluorocarbon. It's very abrasion resistant, so you know if you're dragging over sticks and stones, which you probably will anyway because you're fishing and there are sticks and stones and lakes, it can handle abrasion really well. I love the stuff. Alright? Get this Vanish. Fill up your reel for, I don't know, $10, $8. So those are the 3 types of fishing lines. So let's go over 3 knots. You could probably get by with 2, but there's one in particular I really like that I want to show you. So I'm going to start with the first one. This is a pretty common, this is a very common knot. I've been fishing this knot my whole life, and I don't know, a couple of years ago, I caught a, can't find the tag end of the line, caught a 150, 200-pound marlin on this knot. If you catch a 150, 200-pound marlin on this knot, trust me, you can catch trout and all the other fish on this knot. Alright? Called the clinch knot. Berkeley invented it, I think. It's called the clinch knot again. Alright? What you're going to do is you're going to throw that through your lure. You're going to spin your lure 6 or 7 times. If it's a hook, it's hard to spin a hook, so you got to kind of do this manually. 1, 2, 3, about 7 times. Alright? It's coming apart. Spin them 7 times. Now you're going to go right through that little loop you made, right at the eyelet. The eyelet, there's a loop from spinning it. Now you made a circle by doing that. You're going to come back through that circle with that tag end. This is the tag end. Alright? That part's the tag end. And then pull that up towards the line, up towards the main line. it'll make a barrel like that. Wet it, and it should just slide right back down onto your lure. You might have to just help it down, but that's how it's tied. It's called the clinch knot. It's an excellent knot. Okay? You can see those on YouTube. Go just Google clinch knot and you can see it. You should know how to tie this over and over in your sleep with ease. Alright, that's knot number one. Knot number two, I'm going to show you with Froggy. We fish these froggies on mats for bass up on top. Throw it out, this floats. He sits on the mat, you jerk him along, and bass comes up, whoosh, makes a big old splash and eats your frog. It's called topwater fishing. Us fishermen love topwater fishing because you can see the explosion. It's quite fun. Alright, here's what we do. You thread him through the eyelet. Alright, so he's riding on your line. You go back through the exit hole. Alright? Almost lost it. Got it? And you don't want this twisted. You want this straight. No twists. Tie one overhand knot. And you got the loop over here. See the loop? Send Froggy through the loop. Or your hook, or whatever you're fishing with. Works really well for lures, and then you just pull this main line tight. Alright, good to go. Palomar knot. Okay, remember that, Palomar. Great knot. I use it all the time for these big irons. Because it puts two loops around your, when you went back through, you actually have two loops now around your eyelet. So, but they're both super strong. They've been tested. They have these little machines that you can test knot strengths. They both test very strong. Great. Like I said, I found 100 and 200 pound marlin on the dang thing. Alright, I'm going to show you one other knot, because it's kind of important. I don't know what it's called. We use it for dropper loops out here in California. But I also use it to splice my lines together. And I'll show you an instance where you're going to be splicing your line together here in a second. So basically, what you do, say you're fishing, and you got a big old mess in your reel, and you've broken your line, and now you got two bits of line that you need to join back together. Sometimes these reels get all messed up, and you'll cast out, and there'll be a big old bird's nest that went out with it. So you have 20 feet of line out that way, you'll have your bird's nest, and you have 20 feet of line, and you don't want to give up all your line. You're not at home, you can't redo your reel, so you got to figure out how to splice those two things back together. Your two good parts. Not the bird's nest, but you clip. And now you got these two ends. Okay, so just say you clip these two ends. You got these two ends, you need to join them. How are you going to join them? This is how you join them. Tie a knot. Alright? It's not that easy, sorry. This is a knot you really want to learn. All these knots, you want to just know how to tie them in your sleep. You loop these around each other, and you start twisting the main lines together, not the tag. The tag just stays down here. Five turns, and then you send this back through that hole you made, and you bring it together. And you'll know you'll have it right when these two things kind of make a barrel on either side. All right. Now you got that. Then you trim this off. And you want to trim this as close to this main line as possible so there's no little burr on here. That burr ain't caught up in your reel, and that burr sticks off of there a little bit, and every time that line goes off the spool, every time it hits that burr. And then you only cast 5 feet. If you trim that way down, there won't be a burr, alright? And it won't get in the way of your casting. It can be difficult, it's a pain. So just trim that really well, alright? So I don't know what you call that knot. We call it a dropper loop knot, but it's pretty versatile. And I'll show you another version of that. When we do rigs next, when I show you how to rig up your lines the different ways, maybe there's 5 of them. This is one of them. So you get your line up to your fishing rod and your sinker. what you do, I mean, you don't have a knot here, but it could just be knotted, right? It's the same thing. You got each end in your hand, and you do the same thing. Twist this around, this circle, hold the circle, all right? 5 rotations or so. Send the main line back through the circle, and you kind of gently pull these back together, and it makes those barrels that come together on either side, and boom, you got a loop, right? Out here, we'll put a hook on this. We'll put 2 of these, one up here, one here. We'll put a hook on them, a sinker here, and we'll drop it to the bottom with a squid off of it, so we can catch our rockfish on live bait. But what you can do with this when you're in freshwater now is you've made a little leader. It's called a leader for your hook. Alright? I guess you could put your hook on this, but that wouldn't be advisable. So now you just clip one of them. Not both of them, just one of them. And now you have a place you can tie your hook. Here's your sinker down here, up to your main line. And your hook sits right off of that. And it's strong. Okay? It's a cool knot like that. So those are the 3 knots. We covered the 3 lines, fluorocarbon, which is what you're going to get, the monofilament, the braid, and the 3 knots. The clinch knot for your lures, the Palomar knot for your lures on Froggy, and I showed you that dropper loop knot, triage knot, save your butt knot when you're out fishing. Alright, one more bit of information you need to know about. Some fishing stores will put line on your reel for you. If you don't have a tackle store near you and a Walmart doesn't do it, you're going to have to do it yourself. How do you do that? Well, there's 2 ways. Well, there's probably more than 2 ways if you don't have a machine. Assuming you don't have a machine to wind on line. You get someone to help you, and they'll basically put a pencil or a screwdriver through the line, and you'll thread this line off of here onto your, straight down your rod, down to your reel, tie this on there, and you'll just reel this on, okay? But if you don't have anybody, you got to do it yourself. So, here's how you do that. Take the first 2 guides, good enough. Because if you have them all the way out on all your guides, it's just kind of a pain. It's too long, it's too far out there. You could, I guess, you could secure this way off in the distance, but this works pretty well too. And guess what knot you're going to tie? This has to be attached to this, right? Somehow. Make sure you open your bail. Alright? Open the bail. If you forget to open the bail and you tie this on here, you're not going to reel in your line, right? It's going to be just like this, basically. And it's not going to reel anything in because you forgot to open your bail because it catches this thing on the way out. So open your bail, you tie that clinch knot. Alright? I've done this so many times and it's how I do it. Alright? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Through the eyelet, through the loop, as if this was your eyelet. Alright? Back through that circle you made, remember that part? And up the line. And there's your barrel, right? Now you put that around your spool, tighten it down. See how it slid on there? Now I know I did it right. When it slides, you know you got it right. And then you put that on there nice and tight. Okay? Now you have to trim your tag end down in there, and you're ready to go. You flip your bail over, and now you're putting line on yourself. Okay? Now it should go on kind of tight. Alright? You should put this on kind of tight so you can just hold this. The screwdriver's not big enough. Oh, and I got a backlash in my, how'd that happen? Well, that's disappointing. I might have to do a splice right in front of you. I don't know how the heck that got on there. See, this could happen in your reel, right? So you're sitting there, you're fishing, and you get a big old... This is exactly what could happen with your reel. Glad it happened here because I'm going to show you. And you're sitting here messing with this because there's a pain, right? Man, what do I do now? I'm out fishing. Pretend that it broke. Oh, my line just broke. Now what do? I'm not at home. I'm out on a boat, or I'm out on the shore, and I'm fishing. Well, that's what you do. You make a splice. Alright? Get rid of that old naughty, nasty nest. Now I got my two ends that I talked about earlier that I need to bring together. What do? I go boom, boom. Just like I showed you. I'm done. Trim this right as close as possible. Check that out. I'm back in business. I didn't plan that. It was very impromptu. My screwdriver is not big enough. And somehow I've got this all messed up too. Now when you take this fishing line off of this spool, this is another very important piece of information. It needs to come off like this. Not like this. It can't come off because it'll get twisted. You'll put your line on your reel twisted, and that is just that's the beginning of chaos, basically. Gee, speaking of chaos, this is chaotic. What are you doing? Oh, there we go. Alright, so peel it off the reel. Alright? Like that. And it should go on pretty tight. Generally I like to hold it here and put some pressure on it. Alright? Some pressure on it. And fill it up to about the point just below the lip. This is the lip. Not too, don't overfill it, because this is what will happen. If you overfill it and then you go to fish, the first thing you do is open your bill to go cast. Watch what happens. Put too much line on it. It just comes flying off. See that? And now you're talking about issues. So don't overfill your reel. Alright? Not too much. Just below the lip, 1/8 of an inch. Alright? Now, one other real quick bit of information. When you do this, when you go to, every year you should replace your fishing line if you fish a lot. Every year. Alright? If you fish a lot, like you're out 2 or 3 times a week, you might want to replace it twice a year. But when you go to replace it, you don't have to replace all of it. Only replace half of it. That way you save some money. Alright? So what you'll do is you'll take off half. Alright? This is just coming off automatically. This is 25-pound line. It doesn't belong on this reel. It was good for the illustration because it didn't take long to fill it up. If this was 6-pound, we'd still be reeling it on my reel. So you take it off. Take off half. And then get your new spool and basically you're going to take off all the old line, half of it, alright? And then you're going to re-spool it with your new line. Alright? You take your new line, put it back on, and then you're going to join them together with that knot I showed you. Right? That dropper loop line. And that way, you still have half the old line on here, and half the new line comes on top of it. And you're going to save yourself some money in the long run, because you'll never fish the bottom half of your spool ever. Alright? You just never get down that low, and you should always have a full spool, because it casts better. If you're fishing with a half a spool of line, every time you cast, it's going to hit this lip on the way out if it's only half full. You should always have a full spool. It just casts better. Alright? Another big deal. Make sure you're fishing with full spools of line. And if you don't, just do that. Just keep half the old stuff on. Keep filling it with the new stuff. Alright? So that's about it for fishing line. I'm Johnny Rod. This is ifishclub. You can find me on Facebook, find me on YouTube, and I'd really like you to join the club. That way we can interact. You can ask me questions. I can help you get from point A to point B. That's what the whole deal is here. Getting you started to catching fish. Alright? ifishclub on Facebook, ifishclub on YouTube. Thanks. See you in the next episode. We're talking about rigs.